Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to the podcast, Curiosity is Key to Knowledge, where we'll ask a question, but we probably won't answer it. Did you get a chance to read that article?
I did. I couldn't read the last page, but I figured it was kind of a culmination of the rest of it. I got the gist of it.
Yeah, so it says here later in a great interview with the We Belong Project, McGonigal, she writes, avoiding discomfort is the world's worst strategy because it requires choosing discomfort. For example, if you choose to avoid situations that make you anxious, you are choosing anxiety and strengthening anxiety's ability to control you. If you choose to avoid opportunities that trigger self-doubt, you are choosing self-doubt and convincing self-doubt it is right. Do you want to feel anxiety while avoiding things that have meaning, or do you want to feel anxiety while you do them?
That's a good question.
Before you answer that, I'm going to say, welcome to the Curiosity is Key to Knowledge podcast. I have C. Rex here with me as my co-host. Hi, C. Rex. How are you doing?
I'm great, and you?
I'm doing great. Tired. Tired. Surprise, surprise. But doing great.
It's kind of early where you are.
It's early.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Today, we are going to discuss discomfort. We both read an article by Brendan Leonard, The Benefits of Discomfort. There's two quotes in this article which I think are interesting. The first one is from Kelly McGonigal. She was doing a project, We Belong. The first quote is, one thing we know for certain is that choosing meaning is better for your health than trying to avoid discomfort. I would say that's really the best way to make decisions. Go after what creates meaning in your life, then trust yourself to handle the stress that follows.
I highlighted that quote as well.
So what did you think of that? Because the idea is that stress can kill you if you think it will, otherwise stress won't kill you.
Yeah, I just don't. No, I wrote that down as well. I'm not sure if I agree with it, but
I said you don't have to agree. We're not here to
sometimes
agree.
you don't have control over it. To me, it's things that stress you out, but then you're in the situation, you have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have several examples of stress dealing it. Like, well, my first plane ride with you is not a problem. I didn't have a problem at all because I knew you could handle things, and I was already kind of nervous because here I am, as old as I am, first time flying. I had it in my head, nothing can go wrong going home. We're good. I've came out one way, and everything that could possibly happen other than crashing happened. I felt like.
Oh, I know. I'm thinking, you're fine. This is all going to be
Me
good.
too. I was thinking that. I said, she saw me all the way to security, everything. I'm good to go. Because that was my only stress while I was visiting with you was, am I going to find my way around the airport? That was my only stressful thought. And you were like, I got you. You're going to handle it fine. And I thought I'd made it, got through security and all that, and got on the plane, and it just all went to hell in a handbasket. But I lived through it, and I thought, well, I can handle this if I ever do this again. At the time,
If I ever.
Yes, that was my thought when I was getting off the plane. I almost got down and kissed the ground, but I didn't. But I thought it really wouldn't matter because none of these people know me. But I thought I had alleviated the stress,
Mm-hmm.
while I was visiting with you, and it just smacked me in the face.
Right.
But I got through it.
Yeah, but it was definitely stressful. I mean, when they told you the oxygen masks might drop, I've been flying, whatever, not every day. I've been flying since I was 14, and I've never heard that.
Yes.
And I've been across the ocean, Pacific and Atlantic both. And I've never, ever. I mean, I've been through some like lightning storms where the lightning, you can see the strikes right outside the window, like, just over there. That kind of thing. And it's like, because you're in the clouds. This is before they had good radar. So, I mean, I've been through choppy, but I've never heard the oxygen masks might drop. Never. So
Yeah.
you have every right to have been stressed. There's
This was like I only had 20 minutes left in the ride.
right.
Let's just get through this.
Right. Now, of course, they're going to drop the oxygen mask, so I'm not sure I'm getting through. It's sort of like, I think I'm going to be okay. And then somebody says, did you call 911? It's like, well, maybe I'm not okay.
I know. Oh my God.
I had So, yes, there's that kind of stress. But I think the stress that this is being discussed in the book is bigger than that. So you said you had several examples. What's another one?
Teaching.
Mm-hmm.
My first day of teaching all those years ago, I remember being really nervous and being anxious, I guess. I don't know if it was stressful, but I felt like it because I was going to have back to back classes all day. And I really couldn't assess what I was doing. I didn't have enough time between each class
Mm-hmm.
to assess, how I did on the first one,
Right.
critique myself. That's what I was worried about. By the end of the day, I'd kind of fallen into a rhythm and I was thinking, well, I can do this. As the years went on, it was a whole different set of problems. I'm not sure if it was my age that played into it or kids got worse. you know,
Let's see. Am I
I'm,
too old or are they too young?
yeah, you start to question yourself. I've been doing this for a long time and I've gotten it down to a science almost. And then there are these kids that just come in and are rude. Now, if they were rude when I was in my early 20s teaching, I didn't catch on to it, evidently. But I don't know if I was a problem or the kids today, because everybody's quick to say kids today are horrible. They speak up more, for sure. They did. Toward the end of my career, it got really stressful. I felt like some questioned everything I did, but I can say the majority went with the flow and we got class done. And I ended up having to bargain with them. All right, I got this lesson plan. We'll get through it. And then you guys can shoot basketball if we get through the lesson. But if we don't get through the lesson, I'm sorry, y'all can't do it.
Right.
It only took one time for them not to get to it. That they all straightened up and started doing the lesson. And then they had like 10 minutes at the end of class that they could do what they wanted.
Right.
But to me, that was, I was coping with my stress with the way they were behaving and wanting to do what they want to do, like children do.
Right.
And to me, it was stressful, but I'm not sure if it was an actual stressful situation to me. The kids certainly weren't stressed out when they found out I meant business. That was just my feeling. It got very stressful there toward the end of my career because I felt like I had to do a dog and pony show to get my point across.
Well, yeah,
But
you're not as entertaining as a video game
exactly.
or YouTube.
And I've tried to introduce those students to things that they can play in their leisure time as well, as well as teach skills that they
Right.
can use. That's just my two ones that stuck out to me.
Well, that's interesting too because each one of the stressors that you bring up are stressors that were done to you as opposed to your choosing to do.
I guess, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Right.
so those
Did I
stresses.
make them stressful? I'm sure I, elevated the situation at
Well,
times.
maybe so, but the stress chose you in these cases. Now, you were you had wanted to come out to see what it was like out here because I kept sending you enough pictures.
Yeah.
So you came out in spite of the stress because you were interested in what was going on, which gets
Yeah.
back to
Choosing the stress. Yeah.
choosing the stress to a certain extent. You had been avoiding what they're saying here is avoiding discomfort. And not coming out here was avoiding the discomfort, but eventually the discomfort of not coming out was
Outweighed it.
huge. Yeah, and you decided that you would withstand the stress. Unfortunately, you got the biggest stress I've ever heard of. Ever.
But you know what? I live to tell it.
But now the question is there something that you want to do that will require you to fly? And will you let the stress talk you out of it? Or will you take on the stress because it's something that you really, really want to do?
Well, I want to go to Prague.
Right. So is
How many hours on a plane will that be?
well,
A long time.
I
right?
don't want to tell you the truth because
I know it's at least 9 hours, isn't it?
Oh, it's more than that because,
Okay.
no, because it's like, do I even tell you this? Or do I just book it and then you have to go?
Well, see, I'm worried about even 9 hours on a plane. I don't know about any longer.
No, I don't think that's the problem I'm trying to avoid here. The problem I'm trying to avoid here is actually, I think it's going to be 3 different flights.
Oh, okay. Switching planes. Oh no.
But the question is, how badly do you want to see this place? Because that's going to determine whether you're going to deal with the stress or are you going to let the stress and anxiety become the very thing that becomes the big,
Um.
awful monster.
Well, I'm sure I will be anxious, no
Mm-hmm.
doubt.
I believe it.
But you're my security blanket.
Yeah.
You're the old pro at flying. You're way ahead of me, girl.
Yeah. See, going places has outweighed the anxiety and the stress. So my desire to go there outweighed the discomfort. Because either
Yeah,
one's
that's right.
discomfort. What this article was saying is either thing is discomfort. Going or not going is discomfort. Which discomfort do you want?
Yeah, pick between the two, I guess.
If you
Yeah.
choose the one, you're going choose it. Now, if someone hog ties you and puts you on a plane, that's different. But again, that's
Yeah.
happening to you. But if you choose to go, and then like on that flight back, you chose to go home. You were willing to put up with the discomfort of the anxiety and stress of flying in that case. You chose to be a PE teacher, and that meant you were going to take on the stress and the discomfort of teaching, even as it became harder.
Yes.
So, when you come out on the other side, are you glad that you withstood the stress and anxiety of flying to complete the visit out here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you look back on your career, are you glad that you took on the discomfort and the anxiety of finishing it out?
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Because
No doubt.
your goal at that point was retirement,
Right.
and if you'd stopped earlier, you wouldn't have retirement.
True. But I was not like a lot of teachers. I'm working for retirement. I heard that over and over, and I actually cried my last day.
Right.
I loved teaching the kids, and I loved all that part of it. Yeah.
But you were willing to put up with the discomfort and the stress
Yeah. Yeah.
particularly towards the end of it,
Yeah.
because you knew that finishing it out would be the best thing. You didn't have a desire to stop.
Yeah. And I was counseling kids up to the last day.
Yeah,
They would ask questions about blah, blah, blah. Go with your gut, girl. Go with your gut.
always. There's a lot of things that I have done, like moving to Alabama to work for Intergraph. I was
Yeah.
so nervous and worried because I don't like the weather. I didn't want to be that hot ever again, but I was moving to a hotter place. There's no mountain. It's just so different from here, and I just didn't want to move there. I don't mind Alabama. That's not the issue, but living there
Right.
and being away from the things that I had chosen to live near, that was nerve-wracking. But I decided that I was not going to let all of those anxious things stop me from moving. Um,
Right.
I always felt that if I really disliked it, I could come back.
Yeah.
And the desire to work for that company was a big one. I really wanted to work for them. It outweighed the fear and worry that I would be so unhappy. Well, it turns out it wasn't so bad. It was still quite hot, but it wasn't so bad because we were at a little bit of elevation, which actually does make a difference. And the company was so interesting and the people were so interesting that it tamped down any anxiety I had for working for a larger corporation. And then I
Right.
found people who had confidence in my ability to handle things, to be a leader. That was a big surprise. I wasn't expecting that. So the
Yeah.
growth that I gained far outweighed any of the anxiety that first I had created, but also there was anxiety for being in a larger corporation, and concern and stress and the things that it brought, but my personal growth far outweighed any of the pain and agony that I was going to be going through.
Right.
So the question is, do you choose discomfort or do you choose to avoid it? but you chose not to avoid it by taking on the teaching job, even though you were worried, anxious, concerned,
Yeah.
didn't know what you were doing.
Basically.
I mean, you had lesson plans, but you have to execute
Yeah.
them now.
Right. Well, once you make a decision, like once, speaking of the trip to Prague, once those plane tickets are purchased, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's no turning back. So I have to live with that to
right,
start with. And just like when I got my degree in teaching and I got the job, I knew it was no turning back. So I guess I chose the discomfort.
right,
Getting on that plane by myself, coming home from your house, I had to get home
right,
and I had to do that to get home.
right.
There was always an end to the beginning of it, I guess you call
And they
it.
call
End
it,
to the means.
yeah, the means to the end or something.
Yeah, something like, yeah, that's it. I got it
Yeah.
backwards.
Well, geez, it's early in the morning, so what are we supposed to remember? I'm not even sure of my own name. Just saying. No, I'm kidding. But
Yeah.
yes, I think that's part of what the article is about, the benefits of discomfort. And to me,
Yeah.
one of the interesting aspects of it is you get self-worth from it. You get a belief
Right.
in yourself from it that you didn't know you had. You
Exactly.
find out more about yourself as you tackle the discomfort, which has anxiety, stress, and all these things played into it. And so that is my deciding factor when I'm faced with something that I'm not sure that I really want to do or that seems too big for me to handle, et cetera, et cetera, as I try to think about how I would feel at the end of it. And I did it or I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I usually don't like how I think I will feel if I didn't do it.
Yeah. There'll be all these what ifs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
avoid a situation that changes you, and it avoids anxiety and it avoids self-doubt. That's what you felt with teaching. That's how I felt with going to a big corporation, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then if you choose that, then you choose self-doubt, and then self-doubt wins because that stopped you from doing the thing that was going to cause discomfort. Or if you choose discomfort, so the second path, you put yourself in a situation that forces you to deal with anxiety and self doubt. The result of that is you win.
Exactly. I agree with that.
So while you say you're the queen of avoiding discomfort, I think the question really is what kind of discomfort are you avoiding? And one of the things that came to mind based on what you said at another point in time is there's a difference between the anxiety of a terrible relationship, friendship,
Yeah.
significant other. And I think if a person causes you stress or distress, I mean, unless there's a real reason that you want to keep going with it, you shouldn't. That's the kind of stress that I don't think is necessary. If people are toxic, do you need toxic to grow to be a better person? I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't think so either.
So,
That's when you step away.
right. That's when you step away. When the toxicity is too big, you can always leave your teaching job if the toxicity is too big.
Yeah. Because I debated years, should I stay in this district or move on just
Mm-hmm.
to another district? But I decided it's probably the same issues, just with different people. So I decided to stick it out and stay here.
Think that's a good assessment. I mean, you could have been wrong. I mean, you'll never know, so it doesn't
That's
even
right.
matter. Second guessing at this point.
I guess I can agree with that statement. Stress will kill you only if you believe it's bad for you.
Right.
So evidently, I didn't believe it was going to be bad, bad for me.
Bad to stay.
Yeah,
If someone's after your career, you leave.
right.
So that's one of the things that this article did not discuss is what happens when the stress or the anxiety turns
Wins out.
toxic.
Yes.
So I don't think you're the queen of avoiding discomfort at all. I just
Yeah,
think there's some discomfort you're not willing to put up with.
right. It was tough because I went through, I don't know how many administrators in my teaching career,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to get used to each one. It was one in particular that I guess she didn't think that my physical education job was very important because she would come in, pop in to see if I was on task.
Sure.
I mean, my lesson plans were right over there in the corner on the desk. She could read everything. And I remember she came in one time, it was November 1st.
Yeah.
and she marked off because I hadn't changed my calendar yet. Mind you, now the day before was Halloween and all this stuff going on at work with the kids jacked up and everything for Halloween. And I didn't change my. It was on a Tuesday, you know. And I was like, okay, if that's all you got, I'm good. Sure did. Amazing. I just said thank you. I will get on it. I never argued with anybody. I just said thank you for pointing that out.
Right. Right. I think it's important not to argue because when someone's picking nits like that, that's stressful too. But arguing, I think, is even more stressful. So I avoid that discomfort because it doesn't get you anywhere anyway. So why take that on? Unless you're fighting for something that's really important, then I'll take it on.
Yes. Yeah, you have to pick your battles, as my mom would always say.
Right.
Pick your battles.
So you're going to pick your discomfort.
Yes. Same thing.
So I think there's interpersonal discomfort that you choose to take on or don't take on. And then there's situational discomfort, which I think can be a growth situation, like getting on the plane and coming out here. And finding
Yes.
out, by the way, do you know what you found out on the way home? Since I'm going to be telling you about your life, I'm going to tell you about your life. You ready?
Yes. Go for it.
You also learned that you could handle a bumpy plane.
Yeah. That's true. I felt like I was a caged animal at the time.
Yeah, you were a caged animal. Yeah, you were totally stuck besides that point, right?
Yeah. It's like if I could just see where I was going, that would help. Like I could see at that elevation, you know.
At that point, you can't even see the cars.
Exactly. And it was clouds. We were riding in one giant cloud.
No. But you found out that you can deal with the stress. And you know what that means? It means that you can deal with the stress of a 9-hour flight as well.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself either.
Right.
There's things to help you with your anxiety, especially when you're choosing to do something that you really want to do.
Right. Being a parent, that's another whole thing about stress there. Because I've already felt the relief on the other side. You know, mine are all grown. And I just remember when the last one got out of college, I looked at my husband and said, we did it. We actually did it.
Right. But going into
He
it,
said, yeah.
going into that stress, you
Yeah.
knew what you wanted to do. When I was reading this article, and how do you choose your discomfort? And I totally choose mine based on how I think I'll feel with myself, whether I take it on or whether I don't. Will I regret it? Basically, there's a Howard Jones song that escapes me the name of it, but one of the lines is live to 60 with no regrets. And I heard that when I was like 30, and I decided
Yeah.
that was a good way to live. And so I weighed everything I wanted to do based on how badly I wanted to do it and how I would feel if I didn't or if I did. I'm going to read this last quote in this article because I think it's really good.
Okay.
Again, from McGonagall. Avoiding discomfort is the world's worst strategy because it requires choosing discomfort. For example, if you choose to avoid situations that make you anxious, you are choosing anxiety and strengthening anxiety's ability to control you. If you choose to avoid opportunities that trigger self-doubt, you are choosing self-doubt and convincing self-doubt it is right. Do you want to feel anxiety while avoiding things that have meaning, or do you want to feel anxiety while you do them? I feel very confidently that we have not answered the question as usual. We've only played with it. Thanks for taking time out of your day. I appreciate your being here.
I appreciate you including me.
We always have fun doing these topics, I have to say. I am enjoying it way more than doing it by myself.
Yeah, I would be the same way.
It's just more fun this way. And I get other perspectives because, otherwise, I'm right. I'm right 100% of the time when it's just me. I'm right.
Oh, yeah. Always.
Always right. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
All righty. See you later.
This has been an episode of the podcast Curiosity is Key to Knowledge. I'm your host, Julie, along with my co-host, C. Rex, and I hope you enjoyed today's topic.